Dr. Nicole Lipkin, and this is the Hey Kiddo podcast where we talk about all things parenting. So today I am super excited to be speaking with Dana Kaplan about when things get out of hands with kiddos and ourselves, or in more professional speak, escalation and de-escalation in the world of self-regulation. Dana is a renowned educational coach and consultant for youth and families, and she helps parents navigate the rough waters, the really rough waters of parenting life. People often call her the child whisperer, or even for adults, as she helps everyone kind of reframe and transform their current state of being into one of thriving and joy. Dana also specializes in neurodivergent and out of the box learners, supporting all ages to help them discover how they learn and what's needed to write their own success story. Dana, I'm so excited to have you on the show and excited to hear and learn from you.
I am honored to be with you. Like,
Thank
of
you.
all of the people that I get to be on their podcast and all the invitations, I was
Thank
like,
you.
I want to be on your podcast. Can I
Thank
please
you.
be on your podcast?
Thank you so much, Dana. So you coach parents, you coach kids, you work with families. And one of the things that you told me that you're seeing a lot of is just struggles around escalation and de-escalation and self-regulation for kids, but also adults, for parents. Can you just set the foundation? Talk to us a little bit about it.
So I'm going to forever be a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
Why? Because our inner 5-year-old is always activated. Now, do we know what to do with our inner 5-year-old when it is activated, right? So that's really why the escalation happens so fast. We become reactive. We become so entrenched in whatever we personally want and whatever we personally need in that moment, that our frontal lobe, like I have my students do this all the time, and even parents do it too. Like, put your hand on your frontal lobe, like literally hold right here. Just hold there for a second and ask yourself, am I present or am I activated? And the reason I have them do that, just to stop and pause and ask them to hold just this whole frontal space.
Feels good.
It doesn't feel good, but it like really has you check in with your body, because this is the whole space of, if this becomes Banana Town, if this literally becomes Banana Town, the rest of your brain, the neurons are firing off like, I'm going to get what I want. All I'm going to do is have a tantrum. All I'm going to do is tell you that I'm right and you're wrong. And then what happens is even worse. Parents are activated. So say the parents had a rough day at work, and on top of it, they got a call from the school saying that their child had a rough day at school. So what parents need to do is do de-escalation and do regulation experiences. And that's something that I work on directly with parents to help them regulate before they go home.
What does that mean, regulation or de-escalation experiences?
Thank you for asking. Such an important question. So there's this big buzz around breathe, keep breathing, but it's bigger than breathing. So like something that I'm constantly doing is bilateral tapping. And what it does is it's using both sides of my brain to calm my nervous system down. So we have this vagus nerve and our entire spine. And this vagus nerve is like another brain in our body. And it becomes so hyperactive where it can be calm. So we want to be calm. So in order to have a calming conversation with the child, or having a calming conversation with our partner or with our boss or with a colleague or whoever it is, right? Even the guy at the bodega, we want to make sure that we're able to like check in with ourselves for a second and say, am I in a space where I could have an honest conversation? And I actually, even if I may share, I experienced today with my mom. Like, my mom was saying something to me, and I said, to be honest with you, instead of telling me what I need to be doing, like, why don't you ask me what I need right now? And so each kids at 3, 4, 5 years old say, can you please ask me what I need right now, instead of telling me to go sit down, instead of telling me to go take a breath? Because truthfully, what happens is when you're told to go take a breath, that's so irritating.
You want to,
so irritating.
You go take a breath. Leave me alone.
Yeah. And then you really want to like run off the handle and use all kinds of profanity and be like, but the reality is that, like, if we could actually take a step out of the box, right? Take a step out of the box and say, hold on a second. this really isn't about me. This is about the person that's standing in front of me. So what do they really need right now? And if we ask them, what do you need right now? They could easily say, I need to go run around outside. I need to do 25 jumping jacks. I need to go put my hands in cold water. I need like, and all of these suggestions that I'm making are nervous system regulated activities, de-escalation, for regulation. So
Okay, back up. So wait, let's go through them slowly.
okay.
So go run around outside.
Run
Get that
around
movement.
outside, jump around outside, get your face in the sun, take your shoes off, ground yourself, run around in the grass, get connected to nature. One of the best things that you can do. Another thing that I have to do with a lot of my sensory adults and kids, I have them, especially if they live in spaces where they have trees around them, they go and hug a tree and tap the tree, like tapping the tree.
Because you're activating both sides with your fingertips.
You're activating your fingertips, you're activating your heart, you're activating your shoulders. Like, think about it. Like I'm hugging a tree right now. So like it's big. And like, even if I can't hold the whole tree, like I'm touching it, I'm feeling it, I like calming my nervous system. So that's why nature is so important to like regulate who you are, where you are. Another great thing to do is if you are by the beach, if you can put your feet in salt water, if you can put your feet in the sand, doing any kind of grounding experience, any kind of textural experience. Another thing that I love for kids and parents to do is to literally do push-ups against the wall because they're pushing out their energy that no longer serves them. And then they're also using muscles in their body that they have forgotten about, that they've been keeping tense. So what they're doing is they're pushing against the wall and then tensing up these muscles that are already tense, and then they shake their hands out really fast. So loosening up. And then what's happening is all these messages are finally coming to their brain again, and their frontal lobe is opening up, and they can actually have an open, honest conversation. Executive functioning is happening. Executive functioning is happening again. You are no longer reactive. You are responsive, and that's what we want, is to be responsive. So when we talk about, because we've just talked about a gazillion things, so to bring it all the way home and back to the centralization of around regulation, de-escalation, the whole premise behind it is to be able to have an honest, transparent conversation about whatever is going on. A lot of the workshops that I do are focused on uncomfortable conversations. And why are they uncomfortable? It's because somebody in the conversation is not necessarily going to like what's going on. So I'm going to be the 5-year-old coming home to you as my parent and saying, I hate reading. Now you love reading. You love reading. Now the conversation's uncomfortable because now you're going to have to try to convince me, the person reading, to start loving reading. But that's not the problem. The problem is what's preventing me from liking reading. So you take a moment and you either do the bilateral tapping. You can also do it on your legs, not even knowing it. So like your child has no idea what you're doing. Like you don't even know what I'm doing right now, but I'm tapping both legs, right? So you're regulating your nervous system, and you get—
For how long? For how long specifically?
As long as you need it.
Okay. Like are you going to feel a shift?
You will feel a shift because you'll be able to say, what do you need? When that question comes out of your mouth, what do you need? What's preventing you from liking reading? Right? And then ultimately they're going to say it's boring. Well, it's really not boring. Anytime a child says something's boring, it's really because it's too hard or they don't understand what's going on. Like, I have done over 2 decades of studying this. Whenever a child says they're bored, it's really because they don't understand what's going on or they have lost.
My child, Charlie, constantly, it's boring. It's boring. It's boring. Is it? And it's like, I don't want to brush my teeth. It's boring.
What's happening is he doesn't want to brush his teeth because it's a monotonous experience. And also, truth, it could be a sensory issue. So
there's like the feeling on the gums.
Of that brushing of your teeth. I don't like it. So instead of saying I don't like, a lot of they're scared to say I don't like this. Like something that you have to do. right? You
Right.
have to go to the bathroom. Well, I don't like going to the bathroom at school. Instead you're going to hear it's boring to go to the bathroom at school. Like you're going to hear
Mm.
boredom thrown in the most random spaces and places. But then also as an adult, you have to check in and think, oh my God, I'm the same way. I don't like going to the bathroom in the office.
Yeah, of course.
I wonder where my child gets it from. So
Okay.
so you have to really dig in and think, and it's so important to constantly remind yourself there's no shame, there's no blame, there's no guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a sign in my apartment that says no shame, no blame, no guilt. I will take a picture of it and send it to every single one of my clients when I know, even if I can feel their energy,
Yep. Yep.
feel that energy that they're shaming themselves or blaming themselves or guilting themselves about, oh, I should have. Like anytime you say I should have, you're
Sure.
literally like shaming yourself
You're
instant.
shaming.
And
So wait a second. So wait a second. Let's back up because I want to make sure listeners understand what's happening here. So you're talking about when there is an escalation or there's a, I don't like, or something's happening, and your immediate response as an adult is to counteract that with a no, you don't, or yes, you do, or this has to happen. You're suggesting, and also for children, to do some basically sensory movements to kind of allow the frontal lobe, allow the executive functioning to come back and work for you in an effective way. And that could be, and it's very interesting because we've talked to a couple of OTs. And again, like the hugging, the
the hugging, the
squeezing.
squeezing. I don't know if you can
Yes.
see, but like this squeeze,
Hmm.
I have students that squeeze their arms now. They
Right.
get down their body. They're like,
Yes.
and they get it because what happens is we don't even realize how fast we become dysregulated. We don't even
Hmm.
realize like the littlest
An
thing.
instant.
It could be a smell, it could be touch,
Yes.
it could be a tag in our t-shirt, right?
Yes.
We don't even realize like what could be throwing us. And so until we become so body censored, right? Like censoring our body, observing our body, what is going on.
Hmm.
Like the main, I guess ultimately to even rewind even more, we really need to be getting in touch with our bodies more. Because if we're not in touch with our bodies, then our brain takes over. And that's when the executive functioning goes blank, right? We lose
Yeah.
executive functioning. You say things that you don't mean to say. You do
Yep.
things that you don't mean to do. I've been studying the brain with all of my elementary school students, and they're so fascinated by how fast a sensory neuron can be shot in your brain, and like
Yeah.
you could throw a pencil. Like I
Yep.
explained to them, I was like, you just got frustrated, your executive functioning button is off, snap. What do? You throw a chair,
Yep.
right? And they're actually getting it because they're seeing the neurons, because I've been showing them these videos of like how fast the neurons fire and wire and go and go and go. And as adults, we don't think about it. Like
Sure.
it is our responsibility as adults to be like, oh my God, I am so overly stimulated right now. I need to get up from my desk. I need to go take a walk. I need to go put my face in the sun. I need to go get some fresh air. And it's bigger than this is even bigger than when somebody tells you to take a breath, right? Like something's not happening that you're happy with at work. You've been working on a project, and all of a sudden you get this email that things have gone awry, and your body goes into panic mode. You go into
Hmm.
pure survival mode. And
Hmm.
go into pure survival mode, our executive functioning is off. All
Hmm.
you want to do is survive. So it depends on what type of person you are. Are you a fighter? Are you a flighter? Are you
Hmm.
a fawner, which means to over people please? Are you going to run into your boss's office and be like, oh, tell me I can like fix this? Like, tell me all the things you
Right.
do, right? Are you a flopper, which means you flop on the ground and have a total temper tantrum? I'm forgetting the fifth one, but it's like all the different ways that your body, oh, excuse me, freeze is the fifth one.
Right.
You freeze in the moment and like don't know what to do. Do you like hide under your desk? And when you
Hmm.
hide under your desk, that's also what kids do. So
Hmm.
basically what you're doing is going back to the full circle. I'm always working with 5-year-olds because you never know when your 5-year-old is going to be activated. And it's you as a human being at any age As soon as
Right. You mean at any age you're going back to the adult or the
That's
child's
what I'm saying. So
5-year-old?
at any
Yeah.
age, you have to recognize, oh my God, I'm a 5-year-old again. How can
Yeah.
I pull myself back up to my actual age? What do I need to do for myself to bring myself back up to my actual age? Who do I need to speak with? What practices do I need to have? Meaning, what coping mechanisms do I need to have
Right.
in place, right? Is it the breathing exercises that you may have that you practice? Is it that you need to meditate? Is it that you need to go take a walk? Is it that you need to do
Hmm.
bilateral tapping? Is it that you need to just walk away, right?
Hmm.
A lot of times the best, and this is something that I teach all of my clients, is that the best conversations come out of when you remove yourself from the current environment that you're in. That is one of the best de-escalation practices you can possibly do. So if you're
Hmm.
a meltdown in your kitchen, like, right, like you're talking to your child and like all of a sudden it went from 0 to 100 in your kitchen, get out of your kitchen, go into the living room, go into the,
Take your child out of the kitchen
yeah,
too, if the child's having the,
yeah,
yes.
say,
Okay.
let's go into another room. Let's go into another room. Let's have a fresh perspective. Let's see if we can see what's happening here. And just by getting you out of that space, that energetic space, you're also taking the moments where your body is forcing you to breathe and you
Hmm.
realize it. So no one's having to say, oh, take a breath. No one's having to say, relax.
Right.
No one's having,
You're removing
you're
yourself in this
removing
situation.
yourself
Right.
from the situation. And so when we think about a lot of times with kids, and they're like, and parents are like, just remove yourself from being around that kid that's bothering you. It's the same thing.
Sure. Okay.
But instead you're doing it together.
So let's say you teach your child tapping, putting hands in cold water, hugging a tree for city folks, maybe running around,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. And the child doesn't de-escalate, or
That's when,
you don't de-escalate, but let's start with the child first.
okay. So I love this question. This is when you look at the child and say, I love you so much. I love you. I love you so much. Like literally get so close to them, not touching them. Say, I love you. Put your hands on their shoulders or take their hands and say, I love you. I think it would be best if you took some time by yourself. Where would you like to do that?
Love that.
Okay, you're not saying go to your room.
Hmm.
You're not saying go anywhere. You're asking them. Again, the whole process of de-escalation is asking somebody else, what do you need right now? And they could easily say, I don't know. And when they say, I don't know, say, what if you did know? What if you did know? Like I have sat in more meetings and saying to parents and kids, what if you did know? And the responses that come out are magical. They're
Like what?
absolutely, they're
Like what?
magical. It's like recently I was in a parent teacher conference and the parent was like, my child just keeps saying that they're so bored in class and they don't know why. And I said, well, have you asked them if they did know? And
Hmm.
finally it came out that they're not focused.
They could identify they weren't
And I
focused.
knew why. I knew
Yeah.
what was happening in class. And I cannot diagnose someone. So
Yep.
I can encourage a parent to go and speak with their pediatrician. I can encourage a parent to go and have a neuropsych if they're concerned about something going on with their child, right? But I cannot say your child has ADHD or your child is on the spectrum or your child
Right.
has dyslexia, right? I am not legally allowed to say that.
Right.
As an educator for over 2.5 decades, I have seen the gamut. I've sat on the board with top neurologists, like helping them diagnose kids. So like I know the signs. So when you ask your child, what do you think you need? It actually again gives them that opportunity to take the onus back onto them, to hold themselves accountable, to be like, I don't think I'm really focused. I don't think I actually am hearing
Okay.
half the things you're saying to me.
But what if you say, okay, what do you think you need? And they say, I don't know. And then you say, what if you did know? And they still say, I don't know. Like, where do you, what is the next way that you help them?
The next way is when you say to them, I think right now is some great time for you to have some alone time. Where would you like that alone time?
Okay.
Again, you're not telling them where to go because some kids may not want to make their bedroom their alone time space. They may not want to attribute freak out zone, right?
With
Like,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
like survival mode zone with their bedroom.
It's a
Like
great point.
Like some kids may have a stuffy in their room. Like I have an 18-year-old that has, I forgot what they're called, but they're like the new rage for kids, plushamals or something like
Oh,
mushmallows, marshmallows.
marshmallow. Yes,
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 I just
yes.
call them, I
What
call
is
them
it?
marshmallows, but I don't really
They're
know what
like
they're called.
smush, smush.
But
I
do you
don't
know
know.
what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking
They're
about.
like
The
squeezy,
smushy
like,
ones.
yes, you
Yes.
hold on to them and it's like they're this big. They're this big.
Yes.
And then as soon as you hold on to it, it deflates into your body and they're so
Yes.
soft
It's
and
amazing.
amazing. With other clients, I have like they already have some of those smushable like coping calming mechanisms or toys that are in a different space in the house where they can go and immediately go for they know like, you know what, I'm gonna go take some time for myself. And
Yes.
ultimately what we want is for the child to say, you know what, this conversation is really getting out of hand. I need to take
Mm-hmm.
time for myself.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the goal in life, right? For
That's
us.
that's the goal. That's the goal in life. But
Okay.
but it also, and I do also want to say this. I have a lot of clients 18 and younger that have gotten to the space where they can say to their parents, this conversation's not going well. I need to go take some time for myself. And the parents get even more escalated because
Mm,
they're not able to recognize enough is enough. So as an adult, we really have a lot to do because we were not taught these coping mechanisms as children.
right.
We were not taught these coping mechanisms.
No.
We were
No.
told you do what you're told, you say you go and do it, go to your room. Do you know what I mean? Like we were never
Mm-hmm. Don't talk back.
don't talk back. We were never given the option to actually say what was going on. So like it's interesting because I have one client in particular who is so anxious all the time and and also has ADHD but is not medicated. And we're working on protocols to help when they like start to feel super anxious, like that jumpy feeling in their
Yeah.
body. And he was worried that something was about to get broken. So he used his hand inappropriately, but still, like he didn't intend to hurt anyone, but he pushed another kid out of the way, which caused a piece of technology to drop and break so that his personal headphones that he needs in school wouldn't get broken. But no one took the time to have the conversation with him. Everybody
Mm,
blamed him for putting his hands on another child. And
mm,
5 minutes of having the conversation with this child, he's like, how did you figure this out? And I said, because I understand you. You reacted. You were so scared of getting in trouble about something else.
yep.
And that's really at the core of what the problem is that everyone is so fearful about getting into trouble or doing something wrong, adults and children.
Yeah.
Adults and children. Am I going to be that mom that says no to another mom that I'm not going to pick up your child at school today because I've got so much on my plate right now and I just can't add another thing? Am I going to be cut out of the village because
The social group, right?
right? So it's with everyone and everything. It's such a social dynamic. And so when we're talking again about de-escalation and regulation, it's really about being comfortable saying no. Nothing brings me more joy than hearing somebody say, I need help, or no, that doesn't work for me. Like nothing
Mm,
more,
hmm.
like at any age. No, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I'm like literally saying, no, that doesn't work for me. Like when my mom was visiting, I was like, I have to work out. These are the things that I have to do in order to keep my body
Your
healthy
body
and
healthy,
and
right?
and
In your
and,
mind.
and regulated in my
Hmm.
body and soul and everything healthy for me in order to be my best self.
Hmm.
So she's like, well, when do you want to do this? And when do you want to do that? And I was like, I need you to make a decision.
Hmm.
I'm telling you what I need right now. I need you
Hmm.
to make a definitive decision on what you need to do or what you want to do in order for me to figure out when I'm going to be doing A, B, C, and D.
Mm,
That took a long time for me to be able to get there. I'm an adult.
sure.
Child is not capable of doing that. Their brains are not fully developed. So a
Right.
child's not going to say, a 13-year-old is not going to say to a parent, tell me what
Right.
you need to do in order for me to go, like,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? So that's
Sure.
why it's so important for the adult to be like, hold on a second, am I taking care of myself? Why am I getting so dysregulated so quickly? Why am I so irritable all the time? Am I sleeping enough? Am I eating properly? Am I
Right.
exercising? Am I having enough alone time? Am I having enough social time?
Right.
Am I only going from work to family to bed? Like, am I a robot? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
asking yourself all these really important questions, and they're probably gonna elicit a lot of emotion, and
Yeah.
I want them to, right? If they
Yep.
elicit emotion, then that means
Yep.
you're really getting in touch with yourself, and you're really thinking about, "Hold on a second, something's gotta change."
Right.
And that's really what it comes down to. In order for self-regulation and for de-escalation to happen, you personally have to know what you need to change in order for the big picture.
Right. And to change that dynamic. I
Yep.
want to go back. This is solid gold stuff. Bringing in like 1970s, 1980s TV shows, solid gold.
Yeah, great stuff.
um, so I want to go back to boredom because I think that again, and you put it in the same category. It's helping a child kind of understand what they actually need.
Yeah,
But I want to focus in on that
yeah,
for some of our time together. I think it's such a word, and again I think it's used a lot and a lot of parents experience it, and it's a lot of like what, and again boredom is just a word that's used to cover up what's actually going on.
yep.
But let's break it down a little bit. Let's break it down because it's really hard in the moment when you hear everything's boring.
So boredom is an scapegoat. The practice of saying you're bored is literally a way of you saying, I don't know, I don't understand, I don't know what to do. So I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hmm.
I don't know what to do.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So when we don't know what to do, we're going to say we're bored, because
Hmm.
I want to look like that person that doesn't understand what's happening in the bigger picture,
Hmm.
right? So when we think about adults and everyone having to know everything, right? Like one of the biggest practices that I teach parents is saying, I don't know, let's go look it up together. I don't know, let's look it up
Right.
together. I don't have the answer. Let's go research. Let's go find some way of discovering this answer, right?
Right.
The more you can say that, the more likely your child is going to divert from saying, I'm bored to, I need help.
Hmm. Hmm.
But if they don't hear you modeling, I need help or I don't know, they're going to say, I'm bored, because
Right.
their ego is activated. Their ego is saying, oh my God, do not let them know that you don't know what's going on. Do not let them know you have no idea how to solve a problem. Do not let them know you're like completely off in la la land. Your ego is constantly in charge of keeping you safe. So your ego is
Right.
keep saying that to you, when in fact, there's no bear chasing you. There's no
Right.
snake sitting around you. Nothing's going to bite you.
Hmm.
Things going to happen. And so that's why when we talk about fear and we talk about the ego, they're fearful of telling someone, I don't know what you're talking about. So let me just tell you I'm bored and make it your problem. It's your
Is
fault.
is there ever though boredom? You work also with a lot of gifted students.
Right.
So is there also ever boredom of like, I would rather play with Legos than do this work?
So that's different.
Okay.
So that's a totally different conversation to have. So I do have a lot of kids that say I'm bored from learning these sight words that I knew a year ago. And I'm like, you're right, I know you are. But
Hmm.
you still aren't spelling them correctly. So until you show me that you can spell them correctly, you're going to keep getting the same sight words. I need you to stop using resources around the classroom, and I need you to spell them from your long-term memory and your temporal lobe. And I use this language with them. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's in your short-term memory right now. It's in your frontal lobe, and I need you to move it to your temporal lobe so that you can actually recall it independently. So as you're writing, as you're doing your essays, as you're writing your books, you're not looking around the room how to spell because or which there to use. It's automaticity to
You
you.
know it.
Yeah, you just knew that their shoes were sitting on the floor with THEIR. Like You just knew it. Or they're playing in the park, THEY''re, you knew it. So when you're bored of having to study this, yeah, that makes sense to me. You're tired of it. But at the same time, you haven't shown me mastery. So until you show me mastery, I'm not going to let you move on to the next step. Now, when it comes to boredom, and they would rather be playing with Legos.
Right.
Of course they want to play with Legos. And I actually, I don't believe in reward systems. I'm anti-reward. I'm all about internal motivation instead of external motivation. But sometimes I will say, listen, if you really want to be playing with the Legos before center time, like, what can you do right now to practice your sight words so that you don't, so I can actually give you the challenging words that I know you're ready for. Like, you're on this reading level that justifies me giving you more challenging words, but you're not spelling the words correctly because you're rushing. So how can we find this balance between what needs to happen and what you want to do? So I really give a lot of opportunities for accountability, for autonomy, for the opportunity to really catch and say, you know what, you're right. I've been rushing in my work.
Right. So let me ask you this question because it's very interesting. You're an educator. Kids that have you are really lucky because of how you teach and how you think about the family unit and how you think about child development in the brain and all of that. Not every educator's like that. So what if an educator's not identifying you haven't obtained mastery yet? You're rushing through. Show me you're capable of doing. Let's not make mistakes. Like, what do you do at home as a parent if you know that's happening at school?
So that's actually a really wonderful question that you're asking, because a lot of parents won't admit to the fact that their child is rushing, that their child is doing anything wrong. It's always, my child is doing everything perfectly
Yeah,
like it's supposed to be.
yes.
So I love that you posed the question of what if you are noticing it, right?
Yeah.
You as the parent are your child's biggest advocate. Like, I work across the United States with parents sitting in on meetings because the parents don't know how to advocate for their child. So I sit there and I
Mm,
advocate for them. That's a time when I'm sitting with a group of mediocre teachers, and I say mediocre intentionally. I have no ego when it comes to this. I have so much to learn. I maybe
hmm
a bazillion awards and created lots of things and all that stuff. And my way is not the highway. Like, I am
Sure.
always wanting to
Sure.
learn. I love learning from my colleagues. I love getting it wrong. Like, love it.
Yep.
Not the norm. With that being said, when I'm sitting in a room and I'm trying to help parents advocate for their kids, it's so important when a teacher says, well, they just don't know A, B, and C. And I say to them, well, what other practices have you done to try and help them with A in order to get them to B and C?
Mm,
What have you done to make sure? Because if they don't know A, but you're saying they understand B, you need to go back and do something to make sure that they've comprehended A. So let's just use an example of base 10 for math, right? They know how to make combinations of 10, but they don't know how to count by twos. Well, if you know how to make 6 and 4, obviously those are even numbers. Or if you know how to do 3 and 7, those are obviously odd numbers. Have you taught them
hmm
about even and odd? Have you talked to them about skip counting? Have you gotten a picture of like literally a line chart of 10 and shown them how to skip by twos?
mm,
They've gotten to B and they can do all kinds of combinations of 10, but they have no idea how to see number patterns. Then that's
mm.
a problem.
Right.
That's
Right.
a
Right.
problem.
Right. Right. Right.
So the parent is saying, hold on a second. My child can do all these combinations of 10, but they're still not understanding number patterns. They go to the teacher and say they're not understanding number patterns. And a teacher may say, oh, don't worry about it. They're going to get it in time. Totally going to get it in time. Well, I step in and say, no, these are 3 practices that you need to be doing with your child
Mm,
in order to
hmm
make sure that they get the number patterns. Because if they don't understand the number patterns, they've memorized the combinations of 10 and they don't really understand it. They haven't
Right.
conceptualized it. They're not going to be able to take it now to the 20s or the 30s or the 40s, right?
Right.
Even when you get into the hundreds or thousands place value. So it's really important that parents say, hold on a second, my child understands something, but they're missing this whole other concept. So I need to go and let the teacher know. And if the teacher keeps saying they're going to get it when they get it, they're going to get it when they get it, we keep reviewing it. We're going to review it. We're going to spiral. We're going to spiral. Like these are all terms that teachers like to use. We're going to spiral. They're going to get it again. They're going to see it again in a review. Like I am of the mindset where it's like, no, give me work to do with my child at home because they're not getting it at school. Or personally, I sit down and make sure with the child, I create their own center for them, and then I give them their activity they need. I also do this with 15, 16, 17-year-olds that are dealing with algebra. Like they understand one concept in algebra, but they're not understanding other concepts in algebra.
Right.
So I create different modalities for them so they can use what they know to help them solve for what they don't know. And
So
that's
you're just talking about advocacy, and if you can't get it in school,
you've got to
to
do it.
support it at home, right?
You've
So,
got to do it.
Dana, let me. We're coming to a close. If you were to pick, if there are 3 to 5 things that you want our listeners walking away with, what are the 3 to 5 things you want them walking away with?
Oh my God, that's like asking me like
I know. I know.
I'm gonna play a game with myself here. I'm gonna play
Okay.
this with myself and I'm gonna pick 3
Okay.
because I could list a gazillion.
A million.
Pick 3.
Yes.
Number 1, always talk with your child. Always, always, always talk with your child. If you see them becoming a recluse, if you see them backing down, if you see them pulling away, if you see them, their moods changing, always talk with your child. Always make time for your child. No party, no gala, no work function is more important than the functionality of your child. We must make sure we're paying attention to children to make sure that they do not go down the route of hurting themselves. I am a huge advocate and staunch believer that if you talk to your children and you know exactly what's going on with your children, 90% of the time, you're preventing suicide, you're preventing alcoholism, you're preventing any kind of addiction with drugs, you're going to prevent them from playing with drugs. Like I have seen it firsthand what happens when you don't talk to your child and then they have this raging TikTok access, which I can access whenever I want, and I see them vaping and being hooligans, and the parents are like, well, I don't want to be too much with my child. No, you chose to have your child. Choose to be involved. That is number 1.
To talk, open up communication.
Always talk. The second is give your child space. They may not come and talk to you immediately, but if you show them and you tell them about a story of your own experience, like when I was I tell my students all the time that I cheated in school. I tell them constantly that I cheated in school because I want them to know I did not know better because I didn't know how to ask for help. So let them know the reason I'm letting you know that I cheated is because I want you always to feel like you can come to me and ask for help. My adult clients, I want you to know I cheated in school because I didn't know how to ask for help. I want you to ask for help. Bottom line, like always give space so that you can to have those uncomfortable conversations. And I think most importantly is let your child be on their own journey. Let your child be on their own journey. You are a participant. You are invited into their journey. Yes, you chose to create this beautiful being. You created this beautiful being. But now they are in their own life. They may not be able to tell you they're hungry. They give you the signs, they cry. They may not tell you what's going on. They give you the signs, they cry. But they're still inviting you into their own journey. They're still saying to you, I want you to be part of my life. And that is something that's so important that parents need to realize that it's not your chance to have a do-over in life. You already had all these social experiences. Like, let your child have their own time. Let your child know you're always available for them. But don't feel like you need to be the house where you have these big parties because party with your kids, or like don't feel like you're not disciplining your child because they stayed out later than curfew and like you don't want to be that hard parent. Like you have to remember that boundaries, which comes into the journey piece, boundaries and letting your child be on their own journey are so important because they're intertwined. Boundaries show self-love. Letting your child be on their own journey is self-love. So having boundaries and making sure that you guys are copacetic, like that you really are having that transparent communication is so important.
Great. Dana, thank you so much. This was super, super insightful. And I want to say something as a psychologist to your first point. I want to clarify that like kids still might do things that are harmful to themselves, even if you have open communication and
Yes.
but
Yeah.
starting at an early age, having open communication, it increases the chances that children will talk and that you will understand their patterns to be able to pick up their signs,
Yes. Yes.
to
1,000%.
understand. Yes, I just want to make that
And
clarifying
and
point.
I, if I may add, like I battle with anxiety. I know when
Hmm.
anxiety has me or when I have anxiety, like I want kids to understand the difference. I have ADHD, it's my superpower. I want kids to understand that what's going on within them, how to utilize it and how to maximize it. And so, yes,
Yes,
so much for clarifying. Situations happen.
things happen.
Our brains, like I'm a big believer that we are all neurodivergent, regardless of what books, scientists, studies, because every single one of our brains work differently. And so I'm so grateful
Absolutely.
that you are, thank you, thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
for
Yeah. Yeah.
clarifying that point, because it's so important that without the communication, you're more likely to go down the scary routes. With that still though, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dana, thank you so, so much for sharing your insights on the Hey Kiddo podcast and love talking to you. Thank you.
Oh my God, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Hey Kiddo. If you like what you hear, give us a review wherever you get your podcasts. Learn more about Hey Kiddo at our website, hey-kiddo.com. Have a question for our experts? Email us at hello@hey-kiddo.com.